this week in Border Life. It's famous as the resting place of Robert Burns. But Scotland's Bard, it seems, is not the only star of this kirkyard show.
We have a lot of history here and a lot for people to see, and we're delighted that more people are coming to visit the church.
Lying here are other fascinating folk, like the man who helped to build Dumfries.
Indeed, Walter Newell, a very well-known name in this town.
And the lettering has almost faded away, hasn't it? It's very difficult to see.
But I can assure you, it is Walter Newell, trust me.
Or the woman with links to the father of the American Navy.
John Paul Jones is a pirate, no loyalty does he possess. Hi, keep it up, we'll catch the pirates and we'll sink him along with the rest. Raise the flag of the Yanks, he did, raise the flag of the Yanks.
We've reported in the past on how our churches are diversifying. At this one in Dumfries, they're hoping to bring in people by running tours. And why not? St Michael's in South Parish is the town's ceremonial church. It's been a place of service and worship for 1,000 years, which gives it an awful lot of history.
Well, the lovely thing about this church is it's so beautifully light, isn't it?
Well, yes, the stained glass windows are magnificent, and it does alter the light throughout the day as the sun comes and goes. Every time I look at these windows, I see something different in each and every one. They're beautifully done, and they're from different periods as well.
And very colourful.
Very colourful.
And some of these windows were gifted by people who lived in Dumfries.
Yes, yes, by local families. It was a time, remember, of empire, of the Industrial Revolution. A lot of families were pretty wealthy, and they were able to donate funds to the church.
This piece of glass was endowed by Sir James Anderson, a local lad made good. Anderson went on to lay the first transatlantic cable to America. That was in Victorian times, but in this place, history goes back even further.
Tell me about the pulpit. It's quite magnificent, very high.
It's a wonderful piece, and this was installed as the church was completed its building in 1746, and I'm told it was made by one single Scotch fir, which must have been another 200 years old. I know it seems extraordinary, but so the story goes. So it's a very ancient item, really, in the church.
And Fiona, I get the feeling that Robert Burns isn't far away here.
Yes, he's everywhere, of course. He is our superstar, and we obviously have these close connections to him. We know that he had a box pew just to the left of this column here. So he would sit right next to that one. He had a line of vision up to the pulpit, but I don't know, I think he quite often tried to avoid the gaze of the minister, possibly. So he sat there. We have these two lovely windows at the back, which were donated to the church in 2009 to commemorate his birth. And on the right, of course, it's Robbie. And on the left, his long-suffering wife, Jean Armour. And you can see the motifs that reference his work and his life, the red rose, the mouse, the river Nith, and so on.
Well, if Scotland's Bard had a view of the pulpit, he may also have had one eye on the clock.
It's dated 1758, and I like to imagine Robbie sitting over there, looking up at the clock every now and again, thinking, gosh, how much longer, how much longer?
And if the old clock's still ticking, today a new organ is playing.
music's very important in the church. It's one of the reasons that people do come to the church. It's a mixture of spirituality, it's a mixture of entertainment, it's a mixture of mood setting, and possibly most importantly, congregational singing.
Simon Hislop is the organist here at St Michael's. At the moment, he's using this small electronic instrument. And that's because the one they normally use is currently out of order. Up there in the gods is a mighty music machine. Built in 1890, it's a Henry Willis creation, and that makes it very special indeed.
The Victorians were renowned for their quality of workmanship, and in a Willis organ you found the almost perfect combination of quality of manufacture of a mechanical device, but also a musical instrument. In other words, it has sounds and a quality of tone that make it a really superb instrument for playing music on, as opposed to just making a sound.
And behind these pipes here, there are more pipes as well.
Yes. There's about 1,100 pipes in total in this organ.
And unfortunately, this doesn't work at the moment, does it?
At the moment, unfortunately, yes. This is one of the few times in the organ's history of the last 135 years that it's been out of action. But we have an issue with sand in the instrument, and that's going to have to be seen to at some point. But
and how do you get sand in it, inside?
Well, it's from the tower, unfortunately. The tower is made of sand, and gravity is making sure that the sand goes in the wrong direction for the organ, i.e. down into it. So that's just something we're going to have to deal with.
And when this does work, this Willis organ, and you're playing, what's it like?
It's super. There's no two ways about it. Playing the organ, it's a completeness in music which you cannot achieve with any other instrument. You use your hands, you use your feet. Also, your mind has to be thinking about what verse you're on, what stops you're using, what the congregation is sounding like when they're singing. Do they need to be louder or quieter? The effect you're trying to produce. It's a completely engaging, all-encompassing feeling.
And talking of feelings, this is primarily a place of worship. So what does the minister make of the idea of opening it up for tours?
I think it's very important because the danger is that with churches closing throughout the land, we forget the religious heritage of our country. We forget who we are, and we do have a great Christian heritage in Scotland, and people often don't know a great deal about it. We certainly are always looking to expand on what we do and make connections with people.
So even if they're not coming in to worship,
yes,
they're coming in, aren't they?
Yes, they're coming in and appreciating the history and the beauty of this wonderful sanctuary, and we want people to be able to do that. And the thing is, this is a place where people can just sit in quiet contemplation and prayer, and the most miraculous things go on unknown to us. I mean, worship is at the very heart of everything the church does, and we worship God through Jesus Christ and the power of the Spirit. And what I think the challenge for us as a church is to provide more differing ways in which people can encounter God.
Could history be one of those ways, bringing in people with an interest in the past?
The graves you see here reference the 18th and 19th centuries. There's about 350 red sandstone headstones that you'll see. That's local stone from Annan Lochabriggs. And they're spread over 5 acres, but underneath our feet, there's said to be 80 to 90,000 burials under us.
part 2, we're outside in the kirkyard, where it's not just Robert Burns' burial place that's of interest. That's to come. Welcome back to Border Live, where we're at Dumfries' ceremonial church. St Michael's in South Parish is an ancient place of worship. It boasts 1,000 years of history.
They're just so beautiful, aren't they? And the light changes in the church.
And now they're bringing this past to life by doing tours, both inside and out.
But do always look up at the urns. I think we mustn't miss those. Well, this is an extraordinary location in Dumfries. It's really where Dumfries history began, right at the very beginning. And there has been a Christian church on this site for more than a millennia. This being the third one, built 1740 to 46. And the graves you see here reference the 18th and 19th centuries. There's about 350 red sandstone headstones that you'll see. That's local stone from Annan Locker Briggs. And they're spread over 5 acres, but underneath our feet, there's said to be 80 to 90,000 buried burials under us.
You had plagues, presumably, you had all sorts of famines or whatever.
Oh, well, of course, we had the cholera epidemic. That was quite late on, that was in the 19th century. But indeed, it wasn't like, we didn't have the NHS, of course, in those days, and people did not live so long. And you'll see, when you go around and look at the graves, how young, very many people died very young. And, but also you see how many travelled to the Americas, through empire, stories of daring do, fortunes lost and fortunes gained. There's a lot of history.
And presumably you had to have a bit of money to end up here.
Well, that's what's so interesting. You see, there are the wealthy merchants and the aristocracy, but there's also craftsmen in here and the less well off, but this was the place to be.
It certainly was, not least to be near the great man himself.
So this was where Robert Burns was originally buried?
Yes, indeed. In July 1796, a procession came and brought him right through the graveyard to be buried here. With his 2 sons came shortly thereafter.
But he didn't stay here, did he?
No, he didn't. The problem was no one could find this tucked away corner grave, including Wordsworth and Coleridge, who came together. And so there were so many complaints that funding was set up all across the UK and Empire to raise funds to build the mausoleum, which we go to next.
Somebody else is in there now.
Yes, indeed. Madame Percheron, she was very friendly with Jean Armour. And so when the space was vacated, the site was set aside for Madame Percheron. She was a local lady, but she married a French loyalist who'd fled the French Revolution.
And so he was removed from that grave there.
Yes.
And put into this one.
He was indeed, in the dead of night, not to upset the local Doonhamers at the time.
It's a very grand resting place, but then he was a very great man.
He was indeed. People would come from all over the world and still do. Thousands of people come over the summer to visit this site, and it's wonderful now. The doors are opened and we can actually go in and be with Robbie and his muse Coiler.
How was this paid for?
Well, funds were raised, led by the Prince Regent, the Duke of Queensberry and Sir Walter Scott. They were like the PR front guys, and they invited people to contribute funds, and it came pouring in from all across the Empire. The marble figures, they're carved from Carrara marble. You have Coila, who is his muse, and you see the cape she wraps around his head to give him inspiration. And of course his plough, signifying his past as a farmer.
This must be arguably the most famous grave in Scotland, the most famous mausoleum in Scotland.
Yes. Oh, without a doubt. And it's recognised all over the world. As you know, people enjoy and remember Robert Burns every year, especially at his birth time, and they recognise this wonderful edifice as well. It's absolutely renowned.
So who have we got here, Fiona?
Well, we're here in the military quarter, and this is Sir Andrew Halliday, whose life story is so extraordinary. He was a young herdsboy near Lockerbie, but he always said he could claim his ancestry back to Sir William Wallace. So he felt in his heart and in his DNA he was meant for something more in the world. And he trained first as a teacher, then for the clergy, and then he studied medicine at Edinburgh University. And on graduation he joined the Dragoons, and it was with them that he served in the Napoleonic Wars and the Battle of Waterloo.
So he was a surgeon at the Battle of Waterloo?
He was a surgeon at the Battle of Waterloo, and he went on to become a personal surgeon and doctor to King William IV and later to Queen Victoria. It's lovely to be able to tell people about him now, so we must all learn about the history that's here. It's quite extraordinary. He was one of, there were 50 people actually from Dumfries and Galloway who were at the Battle of Waterloo, and 4 of them are interred here at St Michael's.
Quite a remarkable story for a simple lad from Dumfriesshire.
Oh, absolutely, and it only gets better when he pops up later in the tour and you find out the very important role he played at the Crichton.
And this is a well-known name in this part of the world, isn't it?
It absolutely is, Fiona. Elizabeth Crichton was the daughter of a baronet and a descendant of Grierson of Lag. Now, of course, Elizabeth was a great philanthropist, very different from Grierson of Lag, who was a persecutor of the Covenanters, who was said to have the blood of the devil. But Elizabeth, she made a wonderful marriage to James Crichton. James had made his fortune in the East India Company as a private physician.
When James died, Elizabeth inherited his money and set about building.
Under the guidance of William Halliday, she decided upon what used to be called a mental asylum to be created up at the site here, at the Crichton site.
And it was Europe's biggest so-called lunatic asylum, wasn't it?
Yes, and it became famous really as the best also. It went on to have very forward-thinking therapies, and of course it had theatre, it had a farm, it had its own water supply, it had its own newspaper. It was really very extraordinary and ahead of its time indeed.
And I have to say, for such a rich woman, it's not a very fancy stone, is it?
I think she was very modest, as was her husband actually. I think they were very modest, but that is a great urn at the top.
That is a great urn.
It's amazing the names you see here, from Robert Burns' contemporaries to the victims of a cholera epidemic. And if you're lucky, you might just get treated to a song.
Raise the flag of the Yanks, he did, raise the flag of the Yanks. They hailed him as a hero, they did, and they hoisted him up through the ranks.
This is the grave of the sister of the father of the American Navy. John Paul Jones was a Dumfriesshire lad who had an extraordinary life at sea.
John Paul Jones is a pirate, no loyalty does he possess. Hi, keep it up, we'll catch the pirate, and we'll sink him along with the rest. Hi!
We've touched on just a few of the many things to see at St Michael's, and we'll finish with this person, rather aptly, the man who built half of Dumfries.
Indeed, this is the grave of Walter Newell. Curiously, a piece in granite. because most of the work that he's produced in Dumfries is of course in the red sandstone that we see all around us today. And I do know that he did design a number of the graves in this graveyard. But here he is. He was born in New Abbey and trained as a cabinet maker, and however did become a very well-known architect, despite the fact he never actually qualified as an architect.
He did jolly well, didn't he? When
did
you think of
very
those
well.
buildings in Dumfries that he put up.
Absolutely. He liked the classical and also some Gothic detailing he liked. He became very renowned for both.
And the lettering has almost faded away, hasn't it?
Yes.
It's very difficult to see.
It's the material. It is extraordinary. It is very extraordinary, but I can assure you it is Walter Newell. Trust me.
And we can assure you we'll be back with another fascinating look around the south of Scotland. For now, though, that's it from Border Life for this week. We'll see you next time.